Have you ever looked at an advertising deal and thought, wow, that's cheap, only to find out later it didn't really work? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a super common advertising metric that tricks a lot of people. And we're going to see why sometimes paying more for your ads can actually get you way, way better results.
So, let's kick things off with a story about two business owners. First, let's meet Ahmad. He's spending a pretty hefty $4,000 a month on bus ads, and for all that money, he gets 3 phone calls. Ouch. Now over here we have Reza. He's spending less, $2,500 a month, on targeted community media. And his phone, it rings 15 times with people who are actually interested. So wait a minute, less money for more results? What's the deal here?
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Why did Ahmad, who is spending more and supposedly reaching more people, get such terrible results compared to Reza? Well, the answer lies in one single, really deceptive metric.
And that brings us to our main culprit, the CPM metric. You've probably had this term thrown at you by ad salespeople a million times, but what does it actually mean, and more importantly, how can it be so misleading?
Okay, so CPM stands for cost per mille. Mille is just Latin for 1,000. It's basically the price you pay to get your ad in front of 1,000 pairs of eyeballs. Advertisers just love it because it's so simple, right? You just take your total cost, divide it by the total number of views, multiply by 1,000, and bam, you've got your CPM. Super easy. But as we're about to see, easy definitely doesn't mean effective.
And here is that illusion in action. Look at this. The bus ads come in with a CPM of just $12. Billboards are around $15. But that community media? Whoa, that's a whopping $50 CPM. Now you can see exactly why Ahmad went with the bus ads, right? I mean, on paper it looks like an absolute steal, but that, my friends, is the trap.
And this gets us right to the core of the problem. It's this idea of audience waste. You see, the biggest issue with just chasing a low CPM is that just because 1,000 people see your ad, it doesn't mean 1,000 people actually care about your ad.
So for a business like Ahmad's, which is specifically trying to reach the local Iranian community, the numbers are just staggering. About 95%, let that sink in, 95% of the people who see his ad on the side of a bus are completely irrelevant. They are not potential customers, they're not in his target market, it's all just noise. So just think about what that means for his budget. Only that tiny little 5% sliver of the pie has any chance of turning into a customer. The other 95%, that money is just gone. It's basically being thrown away, spent reaching people who will never, ever buy from him.
Okay, so how do we fix this? We clearly need a better way to measure the cost, right? We need a formula that cuts through all that noise and shows us the actual price of reaching the right people.
And let's call this the true CPM. This is the number that really matters. It tells you the cost to reach 1,000 relevant customers. And the formula? It's surprisingly simple, but it is so powerful. You just take that advertised CPM they quote you, and you divide it by your audience relevance percentage.
Now let's plug in the numbers and watch what happens. The whole story just flips on its head. For Ahmad, his cheap $12 CPM divided by his tiny 5% relevance gives him a true CPM of $240. Now let's look at Reza. His expensive $50 CPM divided by a massive 95% relevance gives him a true CPM of just $53. All of a sudden, Reza's ads are actually more than 4 times more cost-effective. It's incredible.
You see, this completely changes how we should be thinking about advertising. The goal shouldn't be to just shout at the biggest crowd possible and hope for the best. The goal is to find the right crowd and speak to them directly. It's a huge shift from focusing on volume to focusing on real value.
It's really all about making a choice to stand here for something. Are you going to be just another generic business lost in all the noise? Or are you going to be a meaningful, important presence within your specific community? Rizad chose to be meaningful.
And that's the big takeaway from all of this. It's not a numbers game about trying to reach the most people. It's a strategy game about connecting with the right people, the ones who are actually looking for exactly what you have to offer.
So the big question is, how can you apply this lesson to your own business? How do you avoid this CPM trap and make sure that every marketing dollar you spend is actually working hard for you?
Well, it really starts with asking yourself 3 crucial questions before you spend a single dime. First, what percentage of this audience is actually relevant to me? And be honest with yourself. Second, am I paying for all the impressions or am I paying just for the relevant ones? This is going to help you figure out your true CPM. And third, does this ad channel help me relate to the moment? In other words, are people going to see my ad when they're actually in a mindset to care about it?
When you put all this together, you get what you could call a precise presence strategy. Instead of just shouting everywhere, you're speaking clearly right to the heart of your market. You relate with locals on their terms. You make every single dollar count by showing up in the right context. It's just a way smarter way to grow your business.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final question to think about for your own business. When you look at your marketing budget, are you just paying for impressions, or are you truly investing in impact? Because that answer, well, it could change everything.